I need to make out on a couch again.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I made out for the first time on a couch to Step Brothers 1.
Yeah.
Second time saying that today, and I hope I get a third.
Obviously, Saturday Night Live has been influential for decades. Is there a performer that you can point to and say that person impacted the way that I perform or the way that I view comedy?
Eddie Murphy. Yeah. Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy is the king. There was a while where I was obsessed with him. I was just so fascinated with everything that he did. Nutty Professor is one of my favorite movies. I mean, the guy plays 7 characters, you know. Coming to America, he's playing 100 characters. The ability to do something like that, the stamina to do something like that. A film day is difficult. To go through all that and then create a completely different character for the same scene is genius. And his origin was Saturday Night Live. And it's a great training ground for some of the greatest entertainers that we've ever seen. And I think Eddie Murphy is at the top of that list.
God, I mean, there's been so many guys. Like, I really loved Will Ferrell when I was a kid, you know? I don't know how much it impacted me. I'm kind of like Ferrell, right?
You're exactly like
They say, Will, Dylan.
But Dylan, so sorry.
The next Ferrell. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you think I was impersonate?
You're not Will Ferrell?
Yeah.
Totally different guy.
Whoa.
Oh my God.
Totally different guy.
Wow.
Cory, selfishly, I just want you to keep playing Chevy. I think you're so amazing at Chevy in that
Thanks,
time
man.
period.
Sorry, tripped over my penis.
If you could keep the performance going and do one of his early roles, which would you remake right now?
Oh, that's a great question. His very first feature was Foul Play with Goldie Hawn.
So cool.
Yeah.
And it's a great movie. I don't know that I'd want to remake it. It's a pleasure, but it's really interesting, you know, as I was like studying him and who he was, one of the things that I had to really look for and pay attention to was who is the Chevy that's performing and who is the Chevy off screen. And I was always looking for moments of like nervousness or vulnerability, most of which I would find in interviews. But I did notice, you know, there's a different quality of him in Foul Play than other films. It's his first feature, and you can sort of feel him exploring and figuring stuff out. You know, it's like he's not doing sketch comedy. He's doing like a proper Hollywood film with a star, with Goldie Hawn. And I do see moments and like flex in that performance of like, oh, that's an actor doing his first feature.
Yeah.
Like, I can see that. And I kind of love that, you know?
I mean, we're 90 minutes of live television by a group of 20-year-olds who have never made anything.
Okay, so this is a bit?
Look, I don't get half the shit that they do.
I go down these weird rabbit holes of people telling Lorne Michaels stories. I'm curious, what's the greatest one that you heard in your preparation leading up to this?
I think one that's the most charming is how he and his writing partner, Art Pomerantz, had their own CBC radio show when they were in college. And that's how they really satirized. And you can really see the formation of Saturday Night Live and Lorne's sensibility, his sense of humor, his writing style, and how he'd kind of been building up to the show for so long. And he wanted to take down the Canadian government and satirize them as he would the American government on SNL. But it's a Canadian government-run company, so they were totally censored. And that was the beginning of a long battle with censorship his entire career.
Rachel, you're obviously extremely gifted both as a writer and a performer. If you were given the chance to do one of them for the course of a season, would you want to write or would you want to perform on the show?
Ooh.
Cool.
That's a great question. Honestly, I think it would be really cool to write because I went in the writer's room and like I was there for the Ryan Gosling episode this past spring, I guess. And I was in there when the Beavis and Butthead sketch played.
Me? You're talking about me?
And everyone was like, yeah, that's really good. Like it was cool to see all the people like responsible for the sketch. So I think it would be really fun to write.
Ella, the line that sticks with me is, do you ever have nostalgia for a moment that you're still in?
Right? That scene we shot on our first night of shooting. We were actually at Rockefeller Ice Ring. I'm a New Yorker. So to shoot a scene playing Gilda Radner, directed by one of my favorite directors ever, saying these words about having nostalgia for a moment while you're still in it. Talk about like uncanny, like meta experience, like dream within a dream. I felt all those things that Gilda was saying, and God, what a privilege to get to say them. And weirdly, I ended up saying them to Jason. That night, we shot Matt playing Belushi, who is just extraordinary in this movie. I can't even. We shot Matt on the ice first, and thank God we got a lot of the scene from his perspective before he fell. He fell and he hit his head, and then we were like, we have to keep shooting. He went to the hospital. Jason put on skates and did the scene with me.
Get out of here.
Yeah. First night of shooting was wild.
Gabriel, if you could continue to play Lorne and keep this exact same ensemble, but tackle a different era of SNL, which one would you do?
I think, you know what? The funniest idea that I've heard was Cooper Hoffman and Andrew Feldman would always joke, because when Lorne left after the first 5 seasons, Dick Ebersol was running it, and Neil Levy, Lorne's cousin, was running it as well. And it was just those two. And I think it would be really funny to see those guys carry on the story. I think there's really something to that, actually. Just have to make it to air.
Live from New York, it's